All right, it's on.
We're good.
Yep.
Good. It's the sportsden on a Monday night, the day after in Jacksonville, man. It's like people moping around today.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that crazy how much a loss affects like a whole city?
Mm-hmm.
It was all good 2 days ago.
You know,
it's all good, bro.
It doesn't affect it. Some of these people really it's like a fear. A fear if I say something wrong, then like they're gonna really zap me. And it's I'm still like optimistic for the most part.
I'm much more optimistic today than I was yesterday about the Jags. I'll say that. Like yesterday when we did our instant reaction show,
which is why you do them, so you can get the emotion.
Right.
That one has the emotion in it.
That's right. Like I was searching for good. You know what I mean? Like just searching for good. By the way, it's a sportsden brought to you by ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. Make sure you get to ABC. Share this like right now. Please share. Tell your friends, all that kind of stuff. Somebody just asked us how they turn their notifications on for when we go live. I don't know. Google it. I'm not sure.
Cool. Get a little YouTube. There's a little bell.
You asked me on Facebook.
And then Facebook is the same thing.
Is there?
It's a bell.
You should go to our page.
Like when you go to our page, it says you can click something for notifications, especially if you do it on your phone.
There you go. Just make sure you tell your friends. We got a lot of good stuff to get into tonight. We'll start with the Jags. We got a whole lot of stuff. We're going to whip around here pretty good for the next hour or so. And I'm looking forward to doing that with you guys. But yesterday I was having really hard time finding the good in what I saw. And it's like, what was good? What was good? The reality of it is when you calm down, James, and like you've been on teams where I'm sure you've heard this. It wasn't a situation, or at least I don't think, where there was a deficiency in talent. It was a bunch of stuff that's fixable. Don't line up that way. Don't jump off sides. Catch the ball. Throw the ball better, right? It wasn't like they ran the ball at 5 yards an attempt clip.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like they just got absolutely dominated in every phase of the game. They shot themselves. They were a poorly coached and a poorly organized and disciplined team. Like, that's what it is. All of that is fixable.
Fair.
Right? That's the one good thing that I go into Monday here with the Jags. And the reality is, like, you watch that Jags game. We talked about this in years past. Like, watch the Jags game, then I watch the Saints game.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay looked like the Jags, by the way.
Yes,
we're going to get to that in a little bit. And then you watch that night game last night. And that looks like a whole different level of football being played. Like, that don't even look like you're in the same league. You know what I mean? Like, it looks like one is AA minor league baseball and the other is the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different speed. And, like, they're getting out of the huddle quicker. And there's more organization to everything. And it just looked like a whole different brand of football than what I saw at 1 o'clock. That's the thing that I thought Urban would bring us up to the level, and it's probably not fair.
Yeah, that's going to take a little bit of time.
And then I'm going to say one other thing, then I'm going to let you talk about this, because I thought about this earlier. I think the reason why I was so negative yesterday, I went to most of the practices. Now, once they broke camp, I didn't go, right? I haven't been going the last couple of weeks. Never would have dreamt that would have been the problem of what we saw yesterday. There was never an indication during practice that this was going to be a team that had multiple illegal formation penalties, that had multiple offside penalties. There was nothing to suggest that in practice. In fact, it was quite the opposite. They paid attention to the details like that in practice. There were officials at every single practice that I went to. So I'm gonna either that I don't know what the hell I'm looking at, which is possible, or I'm gonna chalk this up as first game for a bunch of people, even though it's the first game for Houston as well. I'm gonna chalk this up that it's gonna get better.
It's gonna get better. One. As I talked on,
can't get worse.
Yeah, can't get worse. As I talked on First Coast, Sports Final on First Coast News last night, it's hard to lose every game anyway. Just as hard. It's just as hard to lose every game in the NFL as it is to win every game in the NFL. That's why it's only been done a few times. It's kind of like when you're playing cards and you bid nil. You have to have a strategy to actually lose that much.
Mhm.
That's why I tell people, like, yes, they were a 1-15 team on paper. You can't convince me that there was not a strategy that went into play to get, because it's hard when you have that many moving parts to get people to participate and risk their career
Right.
being on a 1-15 team or a bad team. What happened was you had a lot of first and a lot of learning. You had a rookie quarterback who was put in an impossible situation, throwing it 50 plus times. You have a rookie head coach who performed like a rookie head coach. Even though he has other guys with experience around him, it starts and it ends with him. You had a team that maybe thought that they were going to be able to do something, and they just didn't adjust, which is part of the reason why you need to have an identity. Like, we just don't know what their identity is.
Right.
And you would think that the identity with a young team would be establish the run, play good defense. The problem is that you put your defense in a bind because offensively you didn't take advantage or capitalize when you had the opportunity. It was a 14. They went up 2 scores on us, right?
Yep.
We scored to bring it 14-7, immediately stopped them. You needed points at that. Then I believe a penalty derailed it.
I want to say the first drive of the game was a 3-and-out for Houston. I want to say our defense held them 3-and-out the very first drive of the game.
Okay. So,
too,
I mean,
as well.
The thing is, it was 14-7, then it was 17-7. Still very manageable.
You're getting the ball first coming out of half. Yep.
What happens is, and when we talked about when the Jags went on their run with the incredible defense they had, a 3-score game in the NFL really is the equivalent of a 5-score game in college. If I'm like, basically, like you're up 20, I'll say you're up 28 or 31 on somebody, like you're not coming back from that. Even a 2-score game.
I would say a 2-score
game, because what happens is the defense just sits there and they force you. You have to abandon your game.
There's so few 2-minute drive for touchdowns in the NFL, right? Like everything is laborious. Everything takes time in the NFL. There's very few big plays like you see every quarter in college football.
Right. And even then, the thing set up something else. Like, it's not what you see. That one of the problems with society in general is red zone and ESPN. ESPN was the first thing.
God, I love red zone.
I love it. But I'm saying it condenses
Don't you dare talk bad about red zone. It condenses
a very complicated game into something that is really, really not. Like, it's not just scoring all the time. It's literally like strategy. Something sets up those 3-yard dives.
I can't even watch a game anymore, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
I want a college red zone channel.
No, I don't.
I do.
I like everything about college football. I like watching it. I love all of that stuff.
Where you were saying something about Urban Meyer rumors?
So you heard about what happened with Clay Helton?
I don't know. I mean, I know they got beat by Stanford.
USC's head coach is fired
today,
a few hours ago.
What?
Yep. Luke Fickell is the guy that they're saying possibly would be the person to replace him, which is weird because, again, how does that work? Like, again, and we'll go into Florida State here soon. Like, you fired them this week 1. What in the hell are you going to do? Like, Luke wouldn't that be almost career suicide if you accepted a job right now?
Especially at a team that's better right now.
Or even like 3 to 4 weeks.
I'm telling you, Luke, listen, I know you're a sportsden fan. You've got your own thing going on at Cincy, man. You just ride that out, bro. Ask Frost.
But
ask Willie.
Yeah.
And USF. Yeah. There's a lot of people. Ask Mike in Memphis.
Willie at Oregon.
Well, that was
everything he wanted. But I'm saying, like, they bumped him from $3 million to $5 million. They didn't want to.
The grass ain't always greener, is my point.
But the names that are notable, if they don't get the college guys that they want,
man, stop. Urban ain't going.
Robert Stoops, TCU's
Gary Patterson.
And they're saying they're putting Reddit put out something, a couple other people put out stuff that Urban is like his heart isn't in the pro game, and that there's rumblings that he may be interested in taking the USC job.
Man, stop. We're not that kind of show.
That would be
We're
hilarious.
not that kind of show. Like yesterday, you brought something up about a report about Urban having anger management issues.
But
did you see who wrote it?
CBS Sports is the one.
Did you see who for CBS Sports wrote it?
It wasn't Jason.
Yes, it was Jason Lockenford.
My bad. I didn't see that. I apologize. If I would have saw it was Jason Lockenford, I wouldn't have said it. I saw CBS and thought it was reputable.
I got you.
Apologies, people. Apologies. But all jokes aside, I wouldn't be mad, because I think that you need an NFL, somebody like Urban's going to eventually become an NFL coach, because he is in there, and like he's going to develop into one, right? Or he won't. But we need him to win. Like, we need him to get his chops. But it would be hilarious to me if he did entertain it. And
it wouldn't be to me.
Like, it would be hurtful.
If it was somebody else, if it was like another team. Yes.
No. I see what you're saying. But like, to me, it's just because
when
I listen to people, like, he's Teflon. Like, they're so afraid of him, and he hasn't earned anything yet. Like,
that's going to go away, because the reason he's been Teflon is because he's won.
Right, before he, but I mean, I don't want to call the person out because I like them, but I saw a local guy tweet, "Never have I felt so good about a loss because of how he spoke." I'm like, dude, you get paid
because of how Urban or
no,
Trevor?
How Trevor, but okay. I'm saying you get paid to analyze games, and you're over here like the sting of 3 interceptions and all this other stuff that went away because somebody smooth talked you.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, I just want to see. Some people like to see the world burn. I just want to see all these people who are so. And it's not even my hate or disdain for Urban, because I like Urban as a Jags coach. It's just I want to see everybody else kind of squirm a little bit.
I don't.
But
I don't,
because I think you'll still be fine because you have Trevor.
Yeah, I don't on any level, just because we don't need more of.
You don't need that negativity.
Yeah, in Jacksonville. Like, if it was Dallas or somebody that could withstand that, okay, cool, whatever. Not here. No, that's not going to happen, man. He's not going to go somewhere for one game and then be like, you know what?
That'd be funny. Like, yo, I really don't like SoCal. This man. Bump this. I mean,
yeah, no. I mean, that would talk about, like, I'm not even going to talk about it. If it's still floating around there in 3 or 4 weeks, but USC, shame on you, by the way. Like, you never gave this dude a chance. Never. Like, this dude, y'all been talking about firing this guy since he got there. I didn't watch the Stanford game. I think we both picked Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
Which tells you how little faith we have in USC, but it has nothing to do with Clay Helton.
Mm-hmm.
Had everything to do with the fact that USC is overrated every single year, regardless of who the coach is, if it's not Pete Carroll and they're not buying players' houses. Like, that's the only time they've ever been relevant in the last 30 years, if you think about it. So it's like USC, y'all are getting Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and them kept y'all from this, but y'all are in Georgia territory. You just need to manage your expectations. You can't expect something you've never had.
Mm.
That's not how it works. We're going to get to Georgia in a little bit, by the way. Let's get to FSU.
Okay.
I did not watch the game.
Oof. Good for you.
Like I told you the other day, I don't. It's nothing against FSU. I don't watch games that I don't think are going to be entertaining. We sat here a week ago today, and we talked about the Notre Dame game.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. When I saw the Toledo Notre Dame scores popping up, I raised an eyebrow. I was like, wait a second. Okay, that's not good. And then I really didn't even follow the Florida State game. Like, there was a bunch of other games on, so I really wasn't even paying attention. And then I woke up the next morning to just see the final play. So I can't break anything down because I haven't watched anything except for the final play.
That final play sums the entire game up. But before I go into this, this is what I want to tell people. Having been in that, again, I'm speaking purely from experience. So this isn't like what I think. This is what I know. When you play a game of that magnitude on national TV, and it's an emotional, swinging game.
Talking about Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. You have it's a hangover. It's
no doubt.
It's the same type of hangover that you people are going around right now when you drink all day Sunday and you're in the sun. You don't, and when you're older, you don't just recover on Monday. Like you probably aren't really good until Wednesday. You're able to function, but you're not 100% to what you were. So let's think about this. That game is on Sunday. You have a mandatory day off per NCAA rules. So you don't practice on that Monday. Tuesday is really your shorts day. You may go shells, which is upper body and upper shoulder pads and helmets, but you really got to do your walkthrough. Wednesday's full pads, Thursday is your walkthrough, Friday's your travel day. Whether you're home or away, it's literally like
you're going to a hotel.
You're going to a hotel. Then you play the game on Saturday. When I used to play, my body was shot until the Wednesday. Like Thursday was when I finally felt who I was, and then I had to go do it all over again on Saturday. We played Miami on Labor Day. We beat Miami. It was a very emotional game. Now, that was a double whammy because it was a rival. But there's history between Florida State and Notre Dame. We turned around, we played Citadel that next week. And I believe Citadel might have been beating us 13-10 going into halftime. Now, we ended up winning like 60-13, but it was a huge hangover. And you're playing against a lesser opponent, but that's the reason why you typically schedule those guys. Toledo is D1. Shouldn't have been a game any other circumstance. And if you go look at the injury report for what Notre Dame has, wasn't a lot of their starters, but it was a lot of guys that are out for the year from that game. So that lets me know that game was way more physical than what we were thinking. Notre Dame handled business. A lot of teams, for whatever reason,
they got a W.
In week 2, a lot of teams. It was a weird week in college football. Even Miami, which again with App State, we joked, and I know but I don't ever really believe that App State should beat Miami. I know it's a possibility, but I think Miami with the brand recognition should always do that. But they were leading until Miami drove down and kicked the field goal, from what I understand. Didn't watch the game. Don't know how it went, but I just know what the end score is.
I just saw the cat.
Yeah, the cat. That was weird. Jacksonville State, and what Florida State did was very similar to from a coaching standpoint, from my critique of Urban Meyer. We've had 2 games. Now, don't get me wrong. The Notre Dame game was really, really good. But there were times in that Notre Dame game where one could argue that the game or the moment was too large for one coach and not the other. You don't go for, I don't care what statistics or any of those things do. When your defense is reeling, you don't go for it on 4th down and 33, on 4th down and 2 on your own 33. You punt it because you haven't played field position. Like you make them drive the entire field. That takes away 7 points. Now it's a 10-point game at that point. 2 scores. They go down and score. Now it's a 3-score game. Makes it a lot more difficult on you to call that. Now, going into the game, they're playing this 2-quarterback thing, and you can clearly tell that the idea was to go into this like it was an organized scrimmage. The problem is Jacksonville State did not come into the game like that. Jacksonville State is also, even though a lot of people are gone, they're the same team that should have beat you last year, because you started Tate Rodemaker and he threw a pick 6, and then their quarterback threw stuff. They were rocking you last year, and then you had to bring in Jordan Travis, and Jordan Travis saved the day with his legs. Now, I came on here and said, this is no knock on the kid. The story is great, and I believe you need him in some capacity.
Him being
Mackenzie Milton.
Okay.
The Notre Dame game was your emotions and you liking the guy, because words like elite were thrown around. There is nothing elite about a 5 for 7, 48-yard day when 40 of the yards per our offensive coordinator, Kenny Dillingham, came on the first drive. So that means for the rest of the time, he completed 8 yards worth of passes. Really good, very calm, not mad at that. But what we saw against Jacksonville State was a quarterback throw an elite guy with a term thrown up for 133 yards against an FCS opponent. We saw now the running game, much like the week before, you're averaging, I think, no, you said 5.5 was for Jacksonville. I forgot what it was, but we had 195 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
We took the ball out of the running back's hands to try to force some things, and there were some misreads. There were drops, but there were also misreads. One drop by the tight end that everybody bashed because he's big, number 4, Jordan Wilson. I think it's Jordan Wilson. But yeah, you throw me. Let me put something in your hands and let you hold it, and let me hit you in your back with a bat and see how long and see if you can hold on to it or if you drop it. That being said, you should have caught it. But if you go and you watch the film, because I happen to have the end zone copy, look to the left. There is a wide open slant right there that I expect Mackenzie Milton to be able to get. But at no point did you put the guy in who gives you a chance to enhance your running game.
So Jordan didn't play?
He played very little. And here's the thing that's troubling to me. So, okay, everybody, the big play, the last play. You want to show?
Well, I want to get to that in a second.
Okay, all right.
What I want to highlight on that is the difference in the call. So I just think it's funny.
Right.
I always think it's cool.
But even with the last play, the game was 14 to 7. Yeah, 14 to 7. If I remember correct. No, 17 to 7. Whatever it was, it doesn't matter.
So right for the last play, it was 17-14.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's not what I mean. But hear me out. We went for it on 4th and 2 from our goal line, and we threw a fade. I believe it was a touchdown, but the guy might have dropped it when he went to the ground. No physicality. You've ran for 195. You've done whatever you wanted to do to this team. Run it. You haven't. The passing game isn't working. It's arrogance at this point. They drive the length of the field. They got a lot of penalties, but they don't matter. They drove the length of the field to score a touchdown. We can't get a first down when we need it. So we punt it. And then they made the miracle play, and it should have been stopped. But Fuller is a scapegoat. He's the easy target. We've been picking on Fuller since he got there. You could not score 21 points against an FCS opponent. That's the indictment. You could not score. Like, you're telling me we have a more elite quarterback that's better in all aspects. We have 195 yards rushing, but we can't figure out how to. And maybe some of the play calling, I don't know what the thought process or what they saw, but I will say this. They played around and they thought that they can get away with something, and they didn't. But Dillingham's our guy. I like Dilly. I like all the coaches. But all I can do is my job is to critique what was done and what's on the field. Here's a quote that came out today, and this is what's troubling. This really bothers me as a competitor, as an alumni, and as somebody that people consider one of the better players that played my position. Because I don't want to misquote it. Like, I want to read exactly what was said by him in the press conference. Keyshawn Helton's drop in the first half, that drop just kind of deflated everybody a little bit, and it made everyone nervous.
Who said that?
Kenny Dillingham, our offensive coordinator. Keyshawn Helton's drop was on the first drive. You're telling me that a drop on the first damn drive of a game against an FCS opponent is what deflated the team? I don't want to hear nothing. I just want to see the results against Wake Forest. I just want that shouldn't even be said. It was a mistake. He was wide open. It was beautiful play call. How many times does that happen in a game?
Yeah.
Happens all the time. If that's what deflates you against an inferior opponent, then we're all wasting our time. We need to go. Maybe we need to go FCS because Jacksonville State had plenty of times when they could have folded and they didn't.
I think that's the thing. Like I'm listening to you, and I'm just, again, didn't watch the game at all, so I can't speak intelligently on what happened Saturday. But I go back to the practice we went to at UNF. I go back to the many conversations that you and I had in the offseason. That you said something about the Citadel game that you played in. And here's the reality. No troll. I mean this. I don't think you'll back me up on this. Y'all could play hungover because y'all had guys that had a switch. And when it got time, y'all were good enough that you could flip that switch and it was a wrap.
True.
On just about, not the Citadel, on just about everybody in the country, certainly in the ACC at that time.
Yeah.
They don't have that talent there. That talent doesn't exist in Tallahassee.
I agree.
That's the bigger issue here. And I get, like, trust me, the one play I saw, the first thought in my head was, why are you playing man free? Forget that for a second. I know why. The pressure of the quarterback, can't get it out, like, ball game over. I get it.
One of my favorite coaches in the world, Kevin Sullivan, says the only thing prevent does for you is
right.
prevent you from winning.
Well, unless there's 7 seconds and they got to go 70 yards.
Fair.
Okay.
But they had him. So hold on, just even that play. So I'm not defending Fuller, but even that play, he caught it on the 20. Three was there.
I got you.
There was 2 guys there.
I got you. I would have
just got a pass interference.
Exactly. I understand. But here's the reality of it, and this is where I'm going. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to blame Mike Norvell for going for it on 4th down against Notre Dame, because he sees the same thing we see. And so when you're playing Notre Dame, a top 10 ranked team, whether they in that way or not, they were when you played them.
Right.
What you're thinking is, I got to do everything I can to win this game. He won't admit this. There's a deficiency of talent here.
Oh,
I got to steal possession.
It was other things too. In my bad, I don't blame him for the loss of Notre Dame. Like, they coached that's the problem is they coached a hell of a game and they played a hell of a game. And I'm hearing them say, well, the problem was we got patted on the back. No, the problem is you read your own damn press clippings too much. And you guys are too focused on social media and what everybody else is saying. And just like McKenzie, and this is why McKenzie, again, I like him. I think he needs to play. I think they need to play both quarterbacks. You got bullied into playing a guy because of what the fans said. The reality of the situation, everything that they said in the press conference was maybe people patted us on the back too much. Maybe you're paying attention to too much of what the fans are saying. And I have a quote. If you find yourself listening to the fans, you're going to find yourself a fan quicker than you wanted to be one.
Mm-hmm. I guess my only thing is, I said at the beginning of the year, if they win 7, they all get contract extensions. I said it last week, even after the Notre Dame game. I vividly remember saying, okay, they may be better than I thought, but I know what I see. And if they win 7, they should all get contract. They're not very good at the root. And you're fair to criticize play calling, whatever it is, but at the root of all of this, it is not Florida State of years past.
We're not.
Period.
If we were talking about losing to Boston
No.
College, we were talking about, and here's where the fan base is now. You got, I'll call them dumbass beat writers with like Aslan coming out here saying, oh, well, people want Mike Norvell. Nobody's saying that. People are mad because the precedent that was set. The firing talk started this time, Tag's last year, when he almost lost to Louisiana Monroe. He didn't lose to who was a D1 school, but a lesser opponent. Mike actually lost to an FCS team. So for people to like kind of start with that a little bit, we know Mike's not getting fired, but the beat writers, because they can't get something because they're not any good. Like, you're the ones making this a race thing. There's like some people want him fired because a white guy fired and it's crazy because I don't know what he is. He's brown. But what I'm saying,
I'm gonna say it again. Willie's done.
Right.
Willie has nothing to do with anything going on now. You've got your guy. If he can hold this recruiting class,
he is fine.
You have your guy.
People have a right to be people have a right to be mad at the
Sure.
worst loss in program history.
No doubt.
And statistically, not statistically speaking, who cares about that? We had never lost to an FCS opponent. People have been the one troll that people had over Florida outside of we had 4-6, but we can't say, or 4-8.
Yeah.
Can't say that anymore because you went 3-6.
Right.
But you always had the Georgia Southern.
I forgot about that.
You don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, people that have a right to be mad, especially after it. It doesn't mean that, like, you can't cancel the season. What he does and what the staff does after this dictates a lot, but don't get it twisted. You do have a uphill battle, and you do deserve people to criticize because this has never happened before.
No doubt.
And it shouldn't. No matter how bad FSU is, you've got guys like Johnson who transferred in, who had a great game, who caused pressure, who caused these things. The defense, again, up until the last 2 drives, held them to 7 points. You had guys that were doing good things. Like, yes, they dropped. There was drops. There
should have been up 30 by then.
It shouldn't have never come down to that. Now that's my whole point.
Make sure you get to thehumidor.com for all your cigar needs. I'm gonna play into those 2 videos, Miles, in just a second. But humidor.com, all your cigar needs. Type in sportsden when you check out. You get 20% off of your entire order. Sportsden, lowercase, 1 word. There's one fan base after the game was smoking cigars. There's another fan base that was drinking heavily from ABC. They supported both of us, both Jacksonville State and Florida State. I always find it entertaining to hear the conflicting radio broadcast when there's a big play. It's always funny. Florida State's, I don't know which one we're going to get first, but Florida State's William Floyd is the analyst, right?
Yes. Bill Barnum is the color commentator.
He was not happy.
Not at all.
If you listen closely, you hear him throw his headset towards the end of it. Let's play roulette here, and let's see which one we get here, Miles. But go ahead and play one of them. Is the volume up on that?
I guess they called a timeout to try to get their kicking team out there.
Here's the snap. Throwing the deep bomb down the far sideline. Caught ball at the 10-yard line to the 5-yard line.
Are you serious?
Jacksonville State with no time left.
I just said keep everything in front of you.
The Gamecocks have taken the lead and will win this ball game. 20-17.
There it is. Headset comes off.
And the Gamecocks are going crazy.
Headset comes off. Now let's play the other one. Miles, do we have sound on the live? Is that
snap to Cooper? Looking down the field. He's got a man, caught it. He's free. Phil Y'all Johnson at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown! 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 There are no flags. Touchdown pass on the final snap of the game.
the memes of the cheerleaders have been
I never
amazing.
saw the face of the cheerleader until right there.
The memes are amazing.
That's so again, I man,
Snap to Cooper.
one I love,
don't play that again.
Yeah. I love how country that guy is. It just sounds what it sounds like is like remember the movie Friday Night Lights?
Oh yeah.
It sounds like the commentator for them. Like, this is just
for Varsity Blues.
Yeah, Varsity. This is somebody's uncle that just lives for doing this, and they give him concession stand food, and like pay him $100 for the year.
That's
and
his
he's
highlight.
happy. Like, this right here is going to be. He's going to tell his grandkids this for Christmas.
It's going to be in the Jacksonville State Hall of Fame.
Yeah, let me tell you about that time when I called the greatest victory in program history. Like, greater than the national championship, greatest and then William Floyd, best person to ever play my position. First round draft picks, won the Super Bowl, won the national championship. That man has seen this, and he's seen the program. He built he was part of the first national championship. He was one of the people who built the program. Like, that's why I tell some fans, like, it's so disrespectful to say some of the things like, oh, you shouldn't be mad if you're not a real Seminole if you're mad at this. Like, no, like I'm mad as hell. Like, but I just don't I'm not finna go to the point where I'm like, I won't bash the kids or the players too much outside of a true critique. The coaches I'm willing to say by name a little bit because they get paid 6-7 figures.
Mm-hmm.
They're big boys. They've been through this. They understand the pressure that this stuff is. But you know what I'm going to be at on September 25th? Be right there in Doak Campbell Stadium with my good seats, supporting them, trying to get some kids into the game. But the reality of the situation is this, is that for the guys who actually built this thing, that bled, sweat, scored in both the end zones, knocked people out, got concussions, have life-altering injuries for your fandom, that's unacceptable. And they're mad because the product, and even what Coach Norvell has embodied and talked about consistently, I'm going to make you proud. He didn't say I'm going to make, I guess the wins, you want to make the fans proud, but he's never made you a promise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's looked at a lot of us face to face and said, you're going to be proud of the product that we put on the field. You're going to be proud that you were a Seminole and you did this. And that means something different to guys who actually wore the hat. What stinks, even though he had a blast, is that I was sitting right next to my son and we saw it. And he actually said, it's going to suck if they score on this play. And I'm like,
it's his fault.
It's his fault. But, he had a blast seeing the facilities, doing all the stuff that normal kids don't get to do. But hell, that's one thing. One of my hate o'clocks one of these days is going to be fans in the way that the irrational way that they talk about every play. Like, and how they rise and they fall and stuff like that. It's just funny because even my son noticed it. He was like, man, even we were winning at the time. It's like, man, you really talk bad about these people. And I was like, son, that's what comes with it. Like, you sure you're ready for this? He's like, oh, I'm good. They won't ever talk about me. They won't ever talk about me like that because I'll be making plays.
MFTF. Yeah. Before we get to, actually, this is a great lead in. Green Acres. If you can throw Green Acres. Before we get to the human highlight reel that is AR-15 at the University of Florida, make sure you get to Green Acres Sporting, greenacresporting.com. Over off in Normandy, right? Normandy Boulevard. Ton of space full of guns and knives and ammo and bows and fishing equipment and you name it, they have it at Green Acres. Make sure you get out there. Make sure when you go out there, you tell them the sportsden sent you. Don't go anywhere else. If you need concealed weapons permit, classes like every day.
Yep.
Full schedules up at greenacresporting.com. Go see our dude Z out there. They have all kind of specials. They have a raffle for an AR-12 that will be drawn in on Black Friday. If you mention the sportsden, you get extra raffle tickets for your $20. But that's only if you mention the sportsden when you go into Green Acres, greenacresporting.com.
Also, if you don't have your own AR-15 to root for, you can go purchase one for $699.
There you go.
And if that's too much power for you, you'll get a Taurus 9mm for $299. Or really, whatever pistol you want, they got it more than likely. And you know what they have that most people don't?
What?
Ammo.
Well, there you go.
Because as Z says, what's the purpose of selling and buying guns if you ain't got nothing to shoot?
You're not out here throwing it at folks.
Yeah, it's waste.
Yeah. Throw your arm out that way. These things are heavy. Florida Gators. Before we don't put the AR stuff up yet, I'm going to get to that in just a second, Miles. But you can't tell anything about that win, really. I mean, it's South Florida, who's not a good program right now. They haven't played anybody yet, but that's coming this week, and we'll get into that more this later in the week when we start, breaking down the Florida-Alabama game. The one thing that we know is that Anthony Richardson is a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank, period, no matter how you want to put it, no matter if he's a starter, the backup, whatever he is. He's not going to be a superstar. He is a superstar right now. This is not Emory Jones' fault. And I've said this over and over and over again. It is not Emory's fault that the guy behind him
is better,
is what he is.
It's between, never mind. I don't want to say, I was about to say it's going to be disrespectful on accident.
Emory had a bad day. Emory did not have a great
Did he really
day.
throw 2 interceptions?
He did, and they were bad. They were bad interceptions. He had a couple beautiful throws. He did house one. So he did have one, I think it was like 35 yards, which is, I think, the longest run that I remember him having for a touchdown. But the story of the day, there was 2 stories. One was the play of Anthony Richardson. Mm-hmm. And literally every snap he took, something crazy happened. Every one of them. He took 11 snaps and accounted for something like half of the yardage.
Was it 300 something yards?
Yeah, close to that. The bigger thing is people ask all the time. I get this all the time. Can Anthony Richardson throw? And I keep telling y'all, yes. Not only can he throw, he's like one of the strongest arms I've ever seen in my life, including NFL guys. He's very accurate. Mm-hmm. He's very smart. He's got everything. Now, Dan Mullen came out today or yesterday, one of the two, and talked about how Anthony has missed reads. And he gave a specific play that I meant to pull up and I didn't, where he says Anthony missed the primary read, who was open. Anthony missed his check down. But then Anthony scrambled and picked up 20. Right?
Semantics on that.
Right. And Dan Mullen is correct. He did. I know the play he's talking about. I want to say there was an outside like little dig that was open. Copeland, it was open, and that was his primary read, and he didn't stay on it long enough. But here's what I'm going to tell people is we've seen these guys before. Cam Newton, Michael Vick, guys like that. They will learn to become better passers. And Dan Mullen is an elite, and not throwing that word around, he is an elite quarterback developer. And I love what he's doing with these statements is he's telling Anthony, if you want to be great, you've got to make these reads. You've got to make the easy throws. And that's fantastic, Dan. And like that, I wish every coach would do that. But what you have to be careful of, if you don't want to slow the guy down.
Right.
If the kid can pull it in under and he can go get 20 yards, then let him go do that. If he wants to go 1 read, 2 read run, then let him do that. We have this conversation with college coaches all the time. And yeah, when you play Alabama, you want him to hit that. You want somebody else to take the hit. You want to limit the hits that he takes. Yeah, I get all that. But the guy's explosive. He's rare. He's different. Mm-hmm. He's just different than everybody else. You can't coach him the same. You can develop him. You can try to put the skill set that means success at the position because you're an expert at it, and Dan Mullen is. But you got to coach him differently. He's a combination of Dak Prescott and Michael Vick. He's a combination. He's a modern day Cam Newton, and the reason why I say modern day is Cam Newton would have been better with today's training and today's quarterback coaching and today's systems. So a lot of times I say things like, well, Anthony throws the ball better than Cam did in college, and that's true, but Cam would have thrown the ball better today than he did then. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The biggest news of the day, if you want to pull up the run that he had, his last play of the game, and then we're going to get to the throw, and I want to just point a couple of things out on the throw. That's the throw. Yeah, go to the other one. This one right here. So this was the biggest news. Apparently we got it from some like black and white antenna TV. You see him pulling away, and you can see him about right there. He starts to let up a little bit, and then you see him grab, looks like his hamstring at the end. And so the big news is he okay? Is he, what is it? 80 yards, pulls away from everybody, that 240 pounds, like cats ain't supposed to do that, right, James?
No.
You teach speed for a living.
No, not the way he runs is very puts a lot of stress on the hammies.
So
it's not very efficient.
I've had, I don't know, dozens of DMs. Hey, what's the deal with Anthony Richardson? Listen, I ain't telling y'all. I ain't telling you. Like, if you ever, and we're going to get into this with Georgia in just a second. If you ever hear me say something that has to do with any of our guys, it did not come from our guys. I never source our guys. Right? I'm going to get to that with Carson Beck in a second. And Kirby Smart. I have spoken to Anthony. I know what's going on. I'm not saying anything. Stop messaging me. It's not happening. Like, I have no idea if he's going to play this week. No clue. So I don't know. If they're going to beat Alabama, he's got to play though. If they're going to put any type of stress on Alabama, 15's got to be taking the snaps.
I hear you. You always play to win. You have to.
Yep.
But I've said this quote before. I think my alma mater is missing the boat on this as well. Sometimes you can't play for this Saturday. You got to play for Saturdays next year.
Or the possible rematch later.
Or the possible, or another Saturday is the best way to put it. And I say that because if his hamstring is tweaked at all, his ability to make plays longer or be a threat is in his legs and is neutralized at that, because the difference between them and South Florida is that everybody that he looks across is a cat.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a cat. He ain't got 11 cats that are like their 11 cats.
Right.
You clearly play this. You were superior. You were more superior than your inferior opponent.
He may be the best athlete on the field, but your point is they have the numbers.
They have the numbers. So like when you're trying to get to the edge, that defensive end who's 275 pounds, that you may be able to stiff arm him, but the 240-pound scraping linebacker is going to come across. So I'm thinking, if you're not healthy, let's save him so that the rest of our schedule is winnable, especially when it looks like LSU is in full meltdown mode with what they have going on over there. And it's just basically you and Georgia. Like
you beat Kentucky, you beat Georgia, you get a rematch.
And you've beat Georgia before, so you're not afraid. That whole thing isn't like scary anymore. You've got over that hump. You'll use the freshman then. But if he's healthy, I agree with you.
The throw, can we put that up? Because everybody asked about the way he throws, and he had a couple of throws. This one right here. We talked about throwing against your body yesterday, right? About how people say don't do it. You can keep playing that on a loop since there's no sound. I don't think people understand how good of a throw this is. It wasn't technically across the body, but he's rolling left. And I actually want to use this later in the week to show front half control and what I think Trevor struggles a little bit with. It mechanically, that's teaching tape. He's getting hit. He's moving left. He's throwing to a guy coming all the way across. You see there? Into a small window, and he puts it right where he needs it. And keeps him in bounds, by the way. Most quarterbacks in this, you would see this guy having to try to like really toe tap stay in bounds because they use the sideline as a scapegoat. They don't have enough confidence in their arm to put it to where it's really, truly catchable. They're going to throw it out of bounds just to be safe. This is how confident this kid is in his arm. You can't teach that. You can't teach that. If you're still asking, can Anthony Richardson throw? You shouldn't be asking anymore.
This is before the hammy pull?
Yeah, the hammy pull was the last play.
Okay.
That he was in. One other thing on the game, Anthony brought him all the way down to like the 3-yard line. His helmet came off, so he had to sit out. He had to come out of the game. So they brought Emory Jones in, and they stuck with Emory for that whole series. And I don't know. They didn't score a touchdown. Maybe they kicked a field. I don't know, but they didn't move the ball at that point. And there was a huge uproar on Gator Twitter about this. That told me all I needed to know about where Dan Mullen's at. Dan Mullen at that point is like, Emory, please do something, bro. Like, please do something. Because the 15's getting in the game, and he's like running roughshod over everybody. I'm looking like an idiot. Emory, do something. This is your last chance. This is it. And he didn't take advantage of it. What I'm suggesting is if 15's healthy, 15 may not start, but he's going to take the majority of the snaps. He has to. Let's move on to Georgia real quick, and then I want to hit Jameis. So last Wednesday, I said that Carson Beck was going to start. Rumors started coming out that JT was hurt, and so he wasn't going to play. I was in Atlanta working with Jeff Sims, got into my car, and the reports were all over. It's not like I was breaking news. Right. The reports were all over. So I went on Rick Ballou show. He says something about it. I was like, I think Carson's going to start. No, I didn't. I said Carson's going to start. That did not come from Carson. And I want everybody to understand this. That did not come from Carson. That came from somebody else in the program who would know. Okay. Bobby Ramsey, the coach at Mandarin, was told the same thing. Carson did not start. They decided to go with Stetson Bennett, who had a field day against, by the way, a team who defensively has been pretty dang good the last couple of years and brought a bunch back. And Stetson Bennett absolutely destroyed UAB. And they had a good game plan. He was throwing to wide open receivers, but he was making the throws in stride. He had a great game. Kirby, the decision to start Stetson Bennett proved to be the right one in the sense of that he threw a ton of touchdowns and they won the game. I'm angry about this, though, because here's where I'm confused, Georgia fans. And again, I've been saying this a lot lately, but I'm going to say it again. When I say something or when you say something on these airwaves, it's a little different because we know it's going to get back to the coach.
Right.
I am 100% sure that what I'm about to say, Kirby is going to know that I said it. I know that. I'm still going to say it. I don't think this was handled right. If you on Tuesday have a press conference where you say Carson Beck is my number 2,
everything is fine.
No. Behind JT. If Carson Beck is number 2 in your depth chart and your starter goes down, who's next up?
Should be
number 2.
Number 2.
That's the first thing. The second thing is Stetson Bennett. This is last year at Georgia. Carson's a freshman. You're going to win that game either way. Are you developing guys? Kirby, are you working to develop guys here, or what are we doing? Because the rap on Kirby Smart is that he's not a good developer of quarterbacks. I don't think he has anybody in the NFL. Jake Fromm's not there anymore. Jake Fromm got cut. You recruit 5-star after 5-star. You have a quarterback room right now with 5-star JT Daniels, 4-star Carson Beck, 5-star Brock Vandegrift. You've got another 5-star coming in next year. You signed a transfer last year, Jamie Newman, who you thought was going to be a Heisman Trophy winner. At what point are you going to develop guys? Like that's my question. And I have been on these airways and I've been attacked by Gator fans because they're like, man, you love Georgia and you love Kirby Smart has done, we've talked about this, done a great job of building a program, could write a book on how to build a program the way he's built at the University of Georgia. Everything is buttoned up. Everything is tight. They recruit like nobody else. Their facilities are immaculate. They send running backs and linebackers, linemen. They send every other position but quarterback deep into the NFL. They don't just send them to the NFL. They have success in the NFL. Their strength coach is top notch. Their strength program is top notch. Everything he does is great except the quarterback position. Well, when you've got one of our guys on it, that hits home to me. Like, if you want to go do that to Justin Fields, go do that to Justin Fields. I don't know Justin. But when you recruit a kid and you say, you're our guy, and I'm not even going to get into the details of after Carson committed. I'm not even going there. That's not going to happen. But when you recruit a guy and you say, you're our guy, and then you develop him, and all the kid does, all he does is perform every single week in practice, and you talk about how he's performing. And then on Thursday before the game, you decide, you know what? I'm going to go with the guy who's a walk-on, who I know is not going to screw this up, who maybe is not, maybe doesn't have the razzle-dazzle that we're looking for long-term, but he's going to get us by UAB. Man, stop. You were getting by UAB anyway. You had a chance to develop a quarterback. You had a chance to get a guy some meaningful snaps, and you chose not to. And so when you don't win a natty this year or next year or the year after because you're playing like circle quarterbacks here because you're going to get somebody in the portal every single year or something like that, don't bitch about it because you're not developing guys. All you're doing is putting guys in there who threw well on Thursday and can hand the damn ball off to the stud of a running back that you recruited behind the 5-star offensive line that you have, but you never develop a freaking quarterback. And Georgia fans, you talk about, well, we're going to win our natty. You're not without a quarterback. It's not going to happen. So if JT goes down, y'all win a natty with Stetson? How'd that go for you last year? Same guy ran out. I don't even remember the guy's name. He's now at Temple now. Last year against Arkansas.
The guy with the brain surgery.
Yeah, mistake. Same guy, signed Jamie Newman. Didn't he make it to the season? Same guy had JT Daniels available to him, did not play him until after the Florida-Georgia game, after the season was effectively over. I know the result, guys. I understand the result. It's not development. And development should be key and forefront when you have that opportunity as a coach at any level.
At the end of the day, it's his decision, but I can definitely understand how that's confusing. One could deduce that if all camp, I've earned my spot on the depth chart. I am number 2. I was number 2 on that Tuesday when you started the week. You make an announcement that the number 1 isn't playing. I would think that I being number 2 would logically move up unless there was something. Maybe you're redshirting me. I doubt that, but maybe there was something that was going on. But, hey, that's, the one thing is the win. It works, but I do know this is like I just said, you're not playing for Saturday. For this Saturday, you're playing for the next Saturday. So at the end of the day, what is it? What are you doing? And eventually you're going to get the better players always. But eventually what's going to happen is you're going to be in a one-on-one matchup with Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to say Spencer Rattler will be a top pick. Kyler Murray, Baker.
They got a guy behind Spencer that's unfreaking real.
Bottom line is they can say, hey, may not have won a natty, may not have played very well, but hey, only one team wins one of those. Everybody wants to go get paid.
Yep.
If you want to get paid, this is where you go. Oh, excuse me, I apologize. They've got because it damn sure wasn't his Alabama film that got him drafted and what people were doing with Jalen, who looked amazing.
Yep.
When you look at even Alabama to this point, they can still use Jalen. What better way to recruit a kid? Hey, we got 3 guys. We actually had 2 guys play against each other in the first game.
Week 1.
It's as if Saban needs more things to help him with recruiting. Oregon's going to eventually be able to say that. There's so many schools that are Ohio State is begging a quarterback to come at this point because Ryan Day looks very average without an elite quarterback. People have also probably, which now with recruiting being wide open, I'm sure people are already in your quarterback's room's ear. Hey, you saw what they did with Justin Fields. He had to leave to flourish. You saw what they did with the guy who went to Washington.
Yeah.
Like the best thing for you is to get out of there so that you can get developed. So I think that's eventually gonna be his Achilles heel. But Georgia's he's Mark Richt. I know people don't like that.
Listen,
but he's Mark Richt.
Their defense is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. This may be their year. Like if JT can stay healthy and he can get to where they think he is, I have questions about that. And I'm not saying – I want to be clear about this. I'm not saying Carson's better than JT. I'm not even saying Carson's better than Stetson. I'm not saying that at all. Just begging for development. That's it.
Somebody leaked it, right?
Somebody leaked what?
Somebody leaked the information that Carson
was going to start?
Was going to start. It didn't come from out of the blue.
Right. It didn't come from Carson.
Yeah. And again, the kid, if I saw myself as the number 2 all season and then the number 1 got hurt and then I got leapt by the 3rd or 4th guy, I want to know exactly what happened and what made me number 2, because if he was that good, he should have been number 2 before and I would know what my place is.
And what's and I haven't even talked to Carson, but what's the future? Like that's the if I was going to talk to Kirby right now, like what's the future? What does this look like? I don't know. I say this all the time, and this isn't a Kirby Smart thing. This is a very holistic statement that I'm going to make, that 90% of college coaches, they lie for a living. That's what they do. They're paid a lot of money to win football games. They will win football games however they have to win football games. They're going to sit in living rooms and they're going to tell moms that we're going to make sure your kid gets a degree and we're going to make sure he leaves here a better man. And maybe some of them do. And in their own way, they all do a little bit. But you know what? They didn't recruit him to go to class. Class is getting in the way of the bigger objective. So it's like the whole thing is built around deception. And it is what it is. I was heated.
Yes, you were.
Heated. And that has not gone away. I am taking a very high road here that at any minute I could derail on. But I'm choosing not to yet. Because the minute I do, like, I'm blowing a bridge up. And I'm not going to do that.
Yes and no. I'm going to give you again. I got some. I feel like Jameis. I feel like you got to go watch me and Freddie's interview with Otis.
Okay.
Jameis's trainer. You may not necessarily still like the drills that he did. I have a better understanding of why he did it. But it's he had got some quotables. But I have a friend, Grimes, who was a coach up in Atlanta, and he came down and everybody was like, oh, he doesn't like him wearing no veil, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's not going to do this and blah, blah, blah. He said, I don't care what any of these coaches have to say about me because I can do more for them than they could ever do for me.
Listen.
He's like, I don't want to coach college per se. He's like, but the thing is, if I got a 5-star D tackle and they want him, he's like, and I got cats who are probably going to be there. You know what they're going to do? They're going to come talk to me no matter what I said, because at the end of the day, their job is to put bodies on the field that can win them games.
Listen, man, Georgia's one of them. Like, I respect the relationships that I have with certain coaches around the college landscape and even the NFL landscape who genuinely, it is a give and take where there's communication and they're trying to get their guys better. I'm trying to learn. They're trying to learn. We're in this together. 90% of the coaches, Georgia included, on this. The only time I hear from them is when I got a cat that they want. And then it's like, oh, hey, man, how's the family? Man, stop. Bump you in your small talk. This isn't even about Georgia. I want to be crystal clear about this. I don't give a damn about any of y'all's programs. I don't give a damn about any of y'all. The only people that I care about are the guys that I'm responsible for. Period. I'm not a Georgia fan. I'm not a Florida State fan. I'm not even a Florida fan anymore. Like, I care about Anthony Richardson. I care about Carson Beck. I care about Jeff Sims. It doesn't matter who they play for. The minute Carson Beck's on that field, I'm a Georgia fan.
Right.
Like, I don't care about you, Kirby.
Real talk.
I don't care about you, Mike Norvell. I don't care about any of y'all. I want the best situation for our guys.
So I was ready to have to go. Like, I think I would have needed the
Actually,
assistance.
that's not true. I actually kind of like Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
Mike's a good dude.
I would have needed the assistance of Green Acres at this point. But I go back to 2017. Well, actually, I guess it was 2018 then, the playoff game, when your boy went in. Tyrod Taylor got knocked out.
Nate
went in.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, God.
Yep.
And they had a chance to drive down and win the game.
Yep. Buffalo.
Like, if Buffalo wins this game, I don't think Denny's getting out of the stadium.
No.
Because Denny's going to really cheer for his guy.
Dude, that is the best example.
In the middle of with nothing but Jaguars surrounding him.
Bro, that's the best example you could give, because the minute Nate Peterman went in that game, I went full Buffalo Bills mode.
You want to know something I did? So this is real. So it was a kid, Richard Montgomery.
I remember him.
From here, Atlantic Coast.
Running back.
I coached him up running back. Got a scholarship to Idaho. So I go on a visit. I go to the game. I don't even sit in my seats. I go
Idaho, Florida, Florida State.
Florida State.
Okay.
Florida State versus Idaho. So I go and I sit with Coach Sullivan. Richard actually didn't play bad. They're beating the tar out of him. I think it was like 70-7 or whatever. But the 7 points came from Richard. And when he scored,
you went nuts.
I went nuts.
Yep.
And they're like, it's a blowout, blah, blah, blah. I said, first off, you obviously don't know who I am, so you should shut up. I was like, but that kid that just scored, that's one of my guys.
Yep.
I was like, and I've done more for this university than you could ever imagine to do for this university. So I was like, but I'm going to cheer for my guys. When I've trained Patrick Young, Gator. I've trained Austin Maddox, Gator. I don't know anything about baseball like that. I know how to make a baseball player better.
Mhm.
But when they go, hey, I want him to be successful. Oh, Colby Halter from out of Bishop Kenny is a kid that I've known. I trained him in 9th grade, and then now he was really, really good. But I got him back his senior year. We just tweaked some things, but I communicate with Colby on Instagram all the time. I'm like, I want him to be successful. I want him to go somewhere. At the end of the day, some of these rivalries are, the older I get, are silly.
They are.
And I like to talk trash, but when I'm talking to Jaquez Green, I'm talking to a guy who's a legend. When I talk with Shannon Snell, it's so much respect for it. It's funny because like we may all joke on Twitter, but if you see us all in the same room, like when I've hung out with Warren Sapp, and I hung out with Warren Sapp, like when I went to Peter Borg's a function of his, it was like, not me included, but like the who's who of Miami and FSU bowling, having a good time, doing all these other things. And I look at you clowns on social media and how y'all are ready to fight each other with imaginary fists because your IP addresses separate you by hundreds of thousands of miles. And the guys who actually went out there and did it are having a beer.
Yep.
And
I've seen you and Leon Cersei in the same room. I've never seen y'all square up.
Never. One, I'm not a fool. I would clearly have to use speed because Leon is I've listened to everybody that comes on Leon's show talk about one thing that Leon does very well.
Yeah.
And that's his punch when he hit on contact. I don't want no parts of that.
No.
But again, it's just, at the end of the day, what I want to see is young men and young women succeed in life and get an opportunity to get an education and ball out and then go pro.
We have to leave with this. Jameis Winston.
Yes.
Before you pull this up, hold on just a second, Miles. One, he balled out.
Yes.
5 touchdowns. And when I saw the yardage, I'm like, wow, almost every ball he threw has a touchdown.
I want to say screw Blake.
That's wild.
Nugent.
Okay.
Right now, because in our fantasy league, we went head to head, and his quarterback, he's a freaking Gator.
He had Jameis.
Drafts Jameis.
And Jameis buries you.
Oh. When I saw that, I was like, man, I don't even want to play no more, dude.
So Jameis balled, but it was the interview after the game that we need to make a permanent part of.
I love it. It's a whole sermon.
If you can, do you know how to turn up the sound on this?
They'll hear it.
No, on the board, so that they hear it louder.
Yeah, they can hear it.
Okay, because if you haven't heard this was Jameis Winston after the Saints beat the tar out of the Packers.
How did the defense in the running game give
This
overall
look is
shape
just so
to the
funny.
way this played out, Jameis?
I just think we were prepared. You know, one thing my trainer, he told me, he said, what did he say? He just told us to be prepared.
I love it. He's so country, man. He's so country.
He said, one thing my trainer told me.
The defense in the running
What did he
game
tell me?
Give overall shape to the way this played out, Jameis.
I just think we were prepared. You know, one thing my trainer, he told me, he said, what did he say? He just told us to be prepared.
I love it, man. I love it.
Fantastic, man.
Have we ever? All right, we know about the things that the past allegations and things like that. Has any teammate ever said anything bad about Jameis? Has anybody just come out and just said even a me versus Drew Brees type story about Jameis? Is there anything that we can just get on Jameis so that that we can?
No, I feel like
that
Jameis,
he's a bad person.
I feel like Jameis, after seeing enough of the clips, and I've never met Jameis in my life, but after seeing all the clips of Jameis, I feel like Jameis is the dude in the locker room that everybody is always laughing with, because I guarantee he laughs at himself too.
Right.
I feel like he's the guy that when he walks in, it's just laughs. It's funny. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He could have made something up there. He gave the look. I almost think he's more charismatic than what we think he is.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Some of this is a little bit of an act, but I'm here for it. Jameis needs to start making commercials. Instead of Baker Mayfield, my house thing, it needs to be the Jameis Winston, my house thing, because he'd be a million times better.
And his Wife is gorgeous. He's got kids now, 2 boys. So it would probably be a really fun family commercial if they could do something.
I want more Jameis Winston content. Like, I want more NFL marketing agencies, all of you. More Jameis, please. That's the Sports Den.
Well, and this is it.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay.
Because he's being ripped by this. And it was funny. And maybe it was when you lose, everything gets amplified, especially in the manner in which they lost. Brady Scott, backup offensive lineman, I think he's a center, I don't know what it is, proposed to his girlfriend after the Jacksonville State game.
Yes.
And he's been getting ripped for it. Now, I know why you're going to rip him. Because,
I'm not going to rip him.
You know what I'm saying? But you don't like,
I don't like
you're
public,
consistent.
yeah.
You don't like public proposals.
Yep.
What I stated is, what do you want? This is why athletes feel that they're better than normal people. Is because you treat them differently, and you hold them to a standard that you don't hold anybody else to, including yourself or your politicians, people who matter, and you completely take away the human element for them. Now, yes, it was a loss. They were planting the spear. It's probably bad timing, like on that. That's not the way you envisioned it. But as a guy who got engaged, and not nowhere near as public that manner, a lot goes into it. I had to make sure people who came from out of town, they came in. I don't get to change my plans and the wheels that went in motion because my job, I had a bad day in the office. I always talk about sports to try to let people realize this is his job. Like, when you lose a major contract, do you just stop everything that you had planned because you lost a major contract? When you got cussed out by your boss because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, did you not go to your children's recital?
Mm-hmm.
It's 168 hours in a week. NCAA mandates 20 hours. Now, it's probably a little bit more, but there's 20 hours. It's a 20-hour rule. What he does with his 148 hours after that has nothing to do with me. Like, I think it's awesome. Well, I think the only argument that I have, as a guy who's in one, in today's society, marriage could be considered a bad contract. If you want to argue about him being in a bad contract, fine. But the proposal, like, what is it going to do? What if he didn't propose right there? What was it going to do? Was it going to change the fact that you lost?
Why can't people just be happy that there's a dude out there who's living his dream as a backup offensive lineman, playing at your university, right? Like, he's sweating every single day as part of something that you pull for every Saturday, and you tweet about 300 days a year, and you have strong opinions about. Why can't you just be happy that the guy thinks so highly of the Florida State football program that he wanted to make that field that you all congregate to a central piece for the rest of his life, that he got down onto a knee and proposed on a football field, regardless of the fact that they just lost? Like that, you should almost be honored by that.
Right.
If you're a true Florida State fan, like, you should look at that and go, man, that dude loves some Florida State football. He just proposed to his girlfriend on the field.
I got news for you guys. I don't know what you want. I don't know if you wanted him to be so distraught that they lost and snot bubbles and everything else coming out of his nose. That's all a show. Because I'm going to tell you what happened like an hour after that. Everybody got showered and went to the club. Like, I got news for you. Like, you might be reeling and you're talking all this stuff. They have to deal with it. They got to get back. You have to have a short memory anyway.
Yep.
I remember when we lost to Clemson, and we lost to Clemson my sophomore and my senior year. Like my sophomore, I think it was my sophomore year. Man, we got off the plane.
Yep.
You know where I went? I went to Yanni's. The club is called Yanni's. I went and got this. It's called a fish bowl. It's a big old bowl, and it's full of who knows what kind of alcohol is in it. But I went. I had a good time. Went to sleep, and then checked in on Sunday.
Yep.
To get ready to start the week to continue to play. Like, You guys have got to chill on that. I mean, you don't have to.
What was his name?
Brady Scott.
Congratulations, Brady. I hope y'all have a long, productive, fruitful marriage. I'm happy for you, Brady.
I hope it works for you. But again, my only critique is
don't listen to this.
I don't know why you're going down this road, but I don't have any problem with you doing it on the field. And anybody who's doing that, more than likely your fat ass would never ever be able to do that, nor would you even say that to him. And you probably are too ugly to even have a wife.
Oh, geez. On
that note,
yeah. All right, we're out. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Get to ABC, get to Green Acres, go to thehumidor.com, support all of our guys, all of our sponsors, all of our partners. We'll be back on Wednesday. We will see y'all then.